everybody, this is Wayne Davies from Spectrum Economics, and today I'm going to be talking about Steem again. So all of you guys on YouTube that have stumbled across this, who are not on the Steem platform, I would recommend that you go and check it out. I don't have enough time in this video to explain all the ins and outs of what it is, because I'm going to be focused on one particular area. And that particular area today I want to focus on is the rewards pool. I wrote a fairly detailed post around 3 or 4 months ago, so this is a bit of a follow-up here, and I've got it in a video, so if you want to just listen to this, I'm going to explain to you exactly what the rewards pool is and why it's important to you for basically anything that you're doing on Steem, whether you're here, as a content creator, a curator of content, or even an investor. Okay, so first things first, what is the rewards pool? It's a giant swimming pool full of money. Well, not exactly. Well, if you're on Steem, you will know that Steem is in fact a cryptocurrency. And the supply of Steem is constantly increasing. And that increase in supply goes into what we call the rewards pool. But before it does that, there's a certain percentage that goes to a few other things. So there's approximately 10% that goes to your witnesses. I'll explain what those are. I've explained that in another post. You'll have to look that one up. And another 15% goes to interest. So what is interest? That's basically your earnings if you hold what we call Steem power. So that's 25% of the supply. But we've now got 75% of that left. And that's what goes into what we call the rewards pool. And that rewards pool is used for our content creators and also our curators as well. So the mathematics in terms of the amount of supply created is a little bit complex to go to in a video, but I got a link at the end of the video inside the post of YouTube. I should have that link in there as well for you. You can actually go to the written post that explains the mathematics in terms of how that's calculated and what that's based on. But at the moment, the increase in supply is around, it's about 8.5, 8.6%, somewhere in that neighborhood. How is the rewards pool distributed to content creators and curators? Well, it's fairly simple. The power actually lies with the curator. So whether the curator is on steemit.com reading a very interesting blog, or maybe over at DTube watching a video, or they could be listening to some great music on DSound. What the curator does is they upvote the content. And normally you have a choice between 1% to 100% of your full upvote. So 100% of your full upvote, that would be the maximum you can give the post. So you may, say for example, have a maximum upvote of $2. So you can give that post a $2 upvote. But not all of that goes to the content creator. As a curator, you get some of that back. So that is actually rewarding you for curating content. So you're looking and finding great content. So therefore you're rewarded as well. And you can actually earn higher than that 25% if you find great content before other people have upvoted it. So that's a great thing about curation, is that you can actually get more if you upvote something that's really great, but it already has a very high value. And then some of your curation rewards are distributed to other users. So overall, though, once the payout's made, the content creator will get approximately 75%, maybe slightly more of the payout, and the curators will get about 25%. Applications can also earn from the rewards pool as well. Like take for example DTube, they have a 10% beneficiary reward. So what happens is if you upvote a DTube video, 25% goes to curation, but 10% that would have gone to the content creators goes to DTube. So what is that, about 7.5%? And then the content creator gets the remaining 67.5%. What that does is that actually helps fund DTube run their operations. So because they're hosting videos, there's actually quite a bit of an expense to actually store these videos on their website. So you're helping them to fund that way. So there's also incentive for DTube to try and push the best videos to the top so they can get as many upvotes as possible, and therefore they can earn money to keep their application going. Besides that, so what other advantages do we have? Well, if you're a curator and you're also an investor, and maybe you've invested a lot of money in Steem, you would want the best content to rise to the top. So basically you're showing the world, hey, come to steemit.com, or maybe come to DTube or whatever other services, applications that we have. And it's like, wow, this is great stuff. People want to join, they want to create content, they want to see content, view content. And on top of that, we've now got advertising on steemit.com. So the more eyes you have on content, the more likely an advertiser is going to want to advertise on steemit.com. So there's great incentive if you're an investor to actually curate good content and get it to the top, so as to get as many eyes on that content as possible. And overall, what does that lead to? That leads to a higher price for Steem, simply because you get better content creators come here, you get more investors, and you get more advertising money. Not encountered anything like a rewards pool until I came to Steem, and it is very interesting because it's a very unique way of distributing rewards. And being an economist, I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into that and just have a little look at the pros and cons of the existence of the rewards pool. Okay, so what are the strengths of the rewards pool? First of all, it does not require any direct payment from own stake to reward content. Consistently increasing rewards pool ensures constant flow of activity on the platform, provides a great source of funding for projects, provides a voice for the voiceless, and builds a strong sense of community. One of the biggest of pool is that you can reward content without actually paying directly from your own stake. Instead, what happens is the increase in supply of Steem that is used for rewarding content. So you're still rewarding content effectively with your own stake, but it's not directly taken out of your account. And it's a situation where no one can opt out either, because everyone's stake is diluted by the increase of Steem. So then it's your responsibility to distribute that to people that are contributing to the platform. If people had to voluntarily pay out of their own stake, there'd be a lot of people not wanting to do that. And the pressure would be on just a few users, investors, to actually pay for the content. And I can imagine that not working very well in the long run. The nature of the rewards pool actually keeps content constantly flowing. So posts get paid out after 7 days. After that 7-day period, a post will not earn any more money directly from the rewards pool. So therefore, if someone wants to continue earning on Steem, they have to come out with new posts and new content instead of just relying on old content. And because of that, people keep creating new and fresh content, and it basically keeps freshening up what is on the platform itself. And that will encourage more people to come to the platform to see what's happening and what's going on and what are the new things. And this can work particularly well, for example, a travel blogger. So a travel blogger may come out with a travel blog every single week. They may be promoting different destinations, possibly restaurants, hotels, resorts, etc., etc., etc. And this is good for the resort, the hotel, the restaurant, whatever, because there's a constant flow of new reviews coming out all the time, which is also good for people coming to the platform too. The rewards pool is also great for raising money for charitable organizations. So for example, you've got a charity, you need to get some money. You just go and put up a post, explain what the charity is all about, and then people can simply upvote it. And there's some very large accounts here that may have certain particular interests. So they could give you some pretty large upvotes. And that, again, comes from the rewards pool and not taken out of anyone's pocket directly. So you may actually get quite a bit of rewards that way rather than relying on personal donations. Steem also provides a voice to the voiceless. So this may not be a direct benefit of the rewards pool, but it can actually help facilitate people actually getting a voice on the platform because it rewards that. So someone may have something very interesting and important to say, but it could be considered fairly controversial, and therefore they face censorship elsewhere, or they get restrictions in terms of the amount of funding they can get. But they can take this content, however controversial it is, put it on Steem, and there's a lot of controversial people on this platform that would be willing to help fund this. And it gives these people an opportunity to express themselves that may not be possible other than having that rewards pool there. The rewards pool also helps to build the community. So people come along, they put their content on Steem, they make their videos, they play their songs, they write their blogs. Other people curate that, upvote them, and we build a sense of community because we're all sort of working together to help each other. So the investors, they help the content creators by curating their content, helping them earn money. The content creators are helping the investors because they're writing this great content and they're attracting more people to Steem, whether it be more investors or advertisers and etc. And all of that can build a great sense of community. Plus other things that I've mentioned as well about sponsoring particular charities and other organizations as well contributes again to building that great community. However, The rewards pool has its weaknesses, and those weaknesses are often reflected within our own human nature in itself. But anyway, I'm just going to quickly run through the main weaknesses, then I'll go into them in a little bit more detail in the following slides. So what does the rewards pool do? It dilutes the stake. It creates what I call multiple prisoners dilemma. This is a little bit complicated. There's negative externalities from those acting out of self-interest. The full cost of negative externalities are close to impossible to value. The platform attracts those with short goals of making money quickly. Those with minimal stake have minimal influence. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the rewards pool is created from the increase in the supply of Steem, also commonly referred to as inflation. So what happens is when you have an increase in the supply of Steem, it dilutes the value of someone's existing stake. So let's just give you a simple example of, let's say, you have 100 million Steem, and then there's 200 million Steem in existence. If that doubles to 400 million Steem, but you also, if you keep the same 100 million Steem, you now have a quarter of that instead of half. So if the market cap remains the same, the price of Steem is going to be worth half that, and basically you've lost half the value. And that's a bit of a deterrent for investors. As they see the supply of Steem constantly increasing, it's eroding their value, and some people may not want to invest on that basis. What I'd like to describe now is what I call a multiple prisoners dilemma. So effectively, a prisoner's dilemma occurs when there's a particular action that is favorable under any circumstances to one person, but unfavorable to everyone else. So take, for example, on Steem, I'll give you 3 examples actually. So we have what we call circle voting. So you get 5 or 6 people, let's say, of the same Steem power approximately. So they all produce posts, 1 post a day, then they all upvote each other. So effectively that's like 6 upvotes, full upvotes in a day. So that works pretty well for the group itself. They get to use all of their Steem power and they benefit from that Steem power. But anyone outside that group loses out because that's Steem power that's tied up within the circle voting in itself. But those people do well, but there's very little incentive for people within the group to produce good content because they get guaranteed upvotes through this particular arrangement. Another thing is what we call self-voting. So you have an option to vote on any content. That could be your content, could be someone else's content. So if you're self-voting yourself 10 times a day, and they're 8-word comments, for example, that's not particularly good content, and that's not really helping the platform, but it's helping yourself because you're earning quite a bit of Steem. And if you do it in such a way you don't get any downvotes, you'll be doing very well. But unfortunately, you're using that Steem power to give to yourself and not to people that are actually contributing to the platform. So in a sense, they lose out. Another area is vote selling. Vote selling, again, is a similar thing. Instead of voluntarily upvoting posts that you think is good, you sell the votes to the highest bidder. And then the bidder gains from that, and you gain from selling the vote. But unfortunately, these may not be the best posts. And because of all the Steem power that's going into the vote selling, the people that are writing the good posts unfortunately lose out because there's very little Steem power left for them to go around. So you get a situation where you may have everybody as part of a circle voting or self-voting or vote selling situation, and no one's putting in good content because they're getting guaranteed rewards for very, very little work whatsoever. So negative externalities is basically an extension of what I talked about with multiple prisoners dilemma. The more you take from the rewards pool, the less everybody else gets, because the rewards pool is fixed and it's based on the supply of Steem, which is at a fixed percentage of 8 point something, as I mentioned earlier. So the only way everybody is going to benefit is if content that is actually helping the platform grow is rewarded, which will result in the price of Steem increasing, and that way everyone can benefit. What adds to the problem of the negative externalities I mentioned just now is the fact that they can't be evaluated easily. So if everybody's self-voting and the price of Steem is falling, we don't know what would have happened if this voting had gone to promoting the better content. We don't know the extent Steem would have increased because it didn't happen. And there's so many other factors involved in the price of Steem. One of them, for example, being Bitcoin. Usually when the price of Bitcoin falls, the price of Steem falls as well. If the price of Bitcoin increases, the price of Steem increases as well. and that's not likely to change regardless of our voting tendencies. But what's most likely to happen is if we vote for other people's content, the better content, is that the price of Steem will increase by more. But how much more would that increase be? We don't know. If we're voting for other people's content, we'd see that that's good, but we don't know what that increase would have been if we were self-voting. And likewise, if we're self-voting, we wouldn't know what that increase would be if we're helping to promote other people's content. Possibilities of circle voting, self-voting, and vote selling, or vote selling in particular, is that you may end up attracting the wrong types of people to Steem. You may get people buying into Steem simply so they can delegate it to a bot and earn a passive income. And if enough people do that, there will not be enough activity on the platform for Steem to grow. And considering at the moment the highest rewards are actually coming from vote selling, in a sense, because that's the safest way of earning rewards because you can't get downvoted, that is what's likely to happen. You'll get people that want to earn a quick buck rather than people that are coming here to help it grow. I've got several solutions to that which I mentioned in other videos. One of them is increased curation rewards, but that's a story for another time. The rewards pool is currently distributed based on stake. So the more stake you have, the more Steem power you have, the greater the upvote. So that's great for someone who has a lot of Steem power. They can distribute the rewards any way that they like, and that's good if they're doing that. But it's relying on the opinions, though, of just a few people that have a lot of Steem power. There's literally hundreds of thousands of people on Steem that have almost no Steem power, so their votes are worth hardly anything. In theory, you could get a post that gets 1,000 over upvotes, and it may only be worth a few dollars, simply because that stake isn't worth that much. And in those cases, unfortunately, the best content may not reach the top, because normally the masses are more representative of what is actually better content than just a few people holding Steem power. There's been suggestions of using an account-based system, but that also has its disadvantages as well, and I'd probably say that that probably won't work out either. That, again, though, is a discussion for another day. So what is my opinion of the rewards pool? As my personal opinion, and as my opinion as an economist, it's definitely got its weaknesses, as I mentioned, but I think it's actually great. I think that's the rewards pool is probably one of the greatest strengths of the Steem ecosystem, because it's just so effective of getting people involved, because you're rewarding people for participating, curating content, you're rewarding people for creating content. There are a number of problems that I mentioned, but a lot of these weaknesses can actually be fixed by tweaking the ecosystem. I've written many posts, actually. I've got a series of about 6 posts where I talk about the weaknesses of the ecosystem altogether, as well as many proposed changes. Also had a recent post which I talked about a change in the algorithm. So all of these things involve tweaking that can actually help the rewards pool work a lot better than it does. But in terms of the rewards pool in itself, I think it's a pretty amazing feature, and I think it's a lot more effective than relying people digging into their own pockets for paying for content. And I think if we have advertising as well to supplement the rewards pool, I think it's going to work out very well for both content creators and investors. Another challenge is the size of the rewards pool as well, and that relates to the increase in supply. If the increase in supply is too great, then we're going to put off investors putting money in. If the rewards pool is too small, then that's not going to work out very well for the content creators because they won't be earning enough money. So it's getting a balance in terms of investors and content creators. And once the algorithms involved in Steem is actually fixed, and we got some good changes in there, especially when we talk about distribution being curators and content creators, and people are moving away from self-voting and vote selling, all that stuff. I think the rewards pool will be Steem's greatest asset of all, and it's probably what's going to help the Steem ecosystem grow into something truly amazing. Takes me to the end of this video. I think it's been a pretty long video, so hopefully you managed to hang in with me all the way. But the rewards pool is a very important topic that definitely needs to be discussed. I think I add a little bit extra being an economist myself, that I can talk about the strengths and the weaknesses, as well as give my audience a really good idea of what the rewards pool actually is. And I hope that we can work out something to get it going better in the future. So before I go, I just want to remind you that I got several other posts and other videos where I talk about what I like to call Steem economics. And these posts go into a lot of other different things. I look at in terms of the witnesses and issues around that. I look at the content creators, I look at investment, and I mentioned before, I look at advertising. So there's a lot of different things that I look into. And also I talk about what we think of the dreaded trending page. Again, that is a problem at the moment, but that is something that can be fixed in the future. So it gives me great optimism to think that, hey, we've identified a few problems, but pretty much all of them, there are solutions out there that we can fix it and, can make this into a great platform for everyone. So anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I've got a lot of other videos here on YouTube, and I've got a few videos on DTube, as well as you just go to my Steemit page, and that's got all my videos, my posts, and whatever else in there. So have a great day, and yeah, awesome. See you later.